Hello, viewers. I'm SB,
And I'm Amabel. I am present.
and that's the most normal intro you've done yet. And welcome back to Amabel Goes to 4X School, where we are deep in this particular game here, 50 entire turns. Good lord, I'm playing slowly. And here is the current diplomatic situation. I think we're pretty likely to go. We're not in danger of a land war. And that's a
Okay.
really nice place to be. You don't get that kind of security all that often.
Especially for this faction.
Well, I mean, especially in this game. Like, it's the. I guess I should say, again, I've played a lot with the community patch on. I know the AI is more aggressive with the community patch than it is normally. Maybe it's pretty normal with the base AI. Regardless of the outcome of this game, we're going to play like at least one more, maybe a couple more, because I'm having a really good time. And I think there's important stuff to see and talk about. And we will definitely be applying the community patch for all the games after
Okay.
this.
So you said we're 50 turns in, so it's pretty deep. So what is? I know it can vary quite wildly, but like,
Yeah.
what is the expected number of turns for a game? Because like with Civ, it can go up to like 500.
Well, it can, but it never does. In this game, in theory, I believe on normal, the last turn is turn 300? I don't remember. It never goes that far.
Okay.
If I'm remembering correctly, and I'm going to say a thing now that I have not researched, I do not know this, I just think this.
I always love it when you do that.
If I remember correctly, I was always aiming for trying to win in like the early hundreds. It's like if you want to be
Okay.
competitive, if you don't want to get beat, you got to have legs on your victory by like turn 110. Which is not to say that the game has to be closed, but you have to be on the way to a close. So, but that's my memory, which is terrible, of things that happened years ago. So I guess we'll find out. So we have some important stuff going on here. I am finally about to search the ruins in Yarrow now that I've remembered that Yarrow could be a land region. And when I say I've remembered, I mean you have pointed out. So thank you very much for that, sweetheart.
You're welcome.
We can see here Green's capital, the mushroom city here, the fungus town. So Pink has expanded a lot. They're starting to feel a little trapped. They just went to war with Red, right? It's the thing we saw at the end of last episode. Yeah, there's a little. It's kind of ridiculous that these two empires are going to war over land, given that the other two empires on their continent are single cities. Just bad luck, I guess. Bad luck and kind of funny decision making. Anyway, it looks like we were about done with this turn, except we've just entered a new era and we need to pick a research. All right. Also, in terms of the special building here, the Wonder, the legendary building. This is a great big science building that also reduces the cost of research in eras eras that are before your current era, so it makes it cheaper and easier to go back and get stuff. It is made out of the new strategics. Nobody else has started building this yet because I doubt anybody else is even close to the amount of strategic resources that you need to put this up. There is a pretty good chance we're going to be able to take this if we want it, and I'm pretty sure that we do want it. I think I'm going to start us off in this era because I think a lot of our buildings are kind of a lot of our cities are kind of busy right now. I'm going to start us off in this era with some bread and circuses. By organizing fora, where city dwellers can air their grievances, as well as various artistic events to distract the population, expansion plans can be more easily imposed on the populace. Once again, this is not the first game to have some idea of like the happiness of your people being a thing you have to manage. Civ 5 has a very primitive like happiness system. And then you saw in Civ 6 there's that whole idea of like the loyalty of a city being able to shift, which I think is a good implementation. But even here you can see the thread of this this idea of the separation between the things you want and the things your people want. which I think Amplitude continues to explore in their games as they go on here.
And I think that's a good thing to explore. I wish these games had a bit more internal tension as far as like
Well, the problem with
multiple.
like the idea of a difference between the things you want and the things that your people want is that they require there to be some kind of cogent definition of you, which is a thing Civ has always struggled with. Are you a lineage? Are you like the immortal spirit of your culture? You know, they put a historical leader's face on it or whatever, but like you are the only unquestioned ruling force over the course of 6,000, 7,000 years of history. Like,
That's not how it works.
what do you represent? What do you mean in the space? Because the story of civilization, I would say almost more than anything else, like once we get past like agrarian society, the story of civilization is the story of conflict between the people who are in charge and the people they want to be in charge of. Certainly,
for sure.
certainly the history of civilization in the last like 500 years, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just, this is one of the things that really drew me to Amplitude's games over Firaxis's games when I was just getting back into when I was really getting into 4X's, which was around when Endless Legend first came out, is that it takes on that stuff, which is more important to me a little bit more thoughtfully. Anyway, we're going to end this turn. The winter is going to end at some point, presumably.
Yeah, I also like I know the timescale is a little fungible here, but I do like that presumably the game takes place over the course of time that one person can be the leader of a thing, or the role is a bit better defined.
Maybe. You again run into problems of scale, right? Where it's like, what if we're going from these like very separated single city empires into globe spanning forces where there's little or no uncolonized land at the end of the game? Like, what does that mean for the representations?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point.
But like, yeah, like at the very least, the idea of the light season and the dark season here, it feels less weird. All right, so we just need to search this ruin, and we're done with our faction quest now. We can move forward. John Port, the Shadow, has gained enough experience to reach level 2. Let's go ahead and grab the only good thing we have available here. A little bit of extra dust from the river tiles. Also, an infestation is occurring. The Urkins, Khazar, Chaka, and Fakir have risen from the depths of the earth, making the ground quake with their every stride and striking fear into the hearts of every Oregan. Their minions, the aggressive lice that emerged with them, are terrorizing ordinary folk and threaten to run rampage over the entire land. All empires have agreed this infestation needs a collective response and have committed to eliminating as many of the lice as they can. As a reward, the empires have agreed that the empire with the best number of kills will enjoy a handsome bounty. So, 100 dust per group of lice that you kill. And they will have spawned like, I think it's usually 3, little groups of lice. Okay, this mastermind had just been on the way home, right? We were just coming back.
I think so.
I don't really have a plan for this dude at this point. I'm not going to double back and grab the pearls that are right next to us in case purple wants them. I'm doing my level best to not ruffle anybody's feathers competition-wise. Yeah. I think that's a good idea. All right, over here, I think we definitely want to build a burrow. Look at this. We can get a burrow down in a single turn. And at this point, we have our leveled up cargo docks. We have a pretty good shape here. If I put down a building right here, we'll level up both of these districts. Leveling up the museum only increases the approval output, but it does add 20 to it. This is pretty significant.
Okay.
But I think I'm not going to do that. I think what we're going to do instead... How much How much palladium income do we have? 1.5? Here's what I'm thinking. I would love to get the industrial megapole leveled up. I think that's the next highest priority because it gains another 25 industry. And I would love to be able to put down that new building, the new legendary building, because like I said, we have such a resource head start because of our fortresses. And I'd love to get that leveled up in a real hurry as well. So I am actually thinking, let's build the district here in a position where it's kind of bad and doesn't level anything up right now, so that we can build the new legendary there and be able to, with a single extra borough, cap it off and have both of these leveled up.
Well, to level those up, you'll need the support of all 5 boroughs.
Amabel?
Yeah.
I don't even need to ask. I know you're proud of yourself. I can hear that you're proud of yourself.
Well, what I like best about that is that joke, even though it's like 2 years old, is so old now that it no longer it fell out of meme culture almost immediately.
Yeah.
So it feels very funny to say it to me.
To you. All right. It turns out we have so much industry in this city now that I can devote all of our people to food production instead of industry production and put 3 things in the queue, and they still all get done. That's very good news for us, I think. I think that's likely to put us in a really good spot in the long run.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yes. I'm going to cut this second settler here. This settler is getting put out in this city for sure.
Okay. Am I your star pupil or the class clown?
Well, as you well know, you are the only person here, which I hope answers that question for you.
It does not.
Okay.
One thing I appreciate about watching you play this is the way that you talk through, like, okay, I'm going to put it here instead of there, and this is what I'm prioritizing. Like, your ability to make those decisions and do it fairly quickly is something I really admire about you. I just do things.
Yes.
If you've seen me play, you know this. I just do things that feel right, and I do try to think them through, but I can't. I don't know. I really appreciate you taking me through the process. It's really informative for me.
Well, the whole point is that the viewer is supposed to be able to understand the thought process, and you can't explain the thought process behind decisions unless you also understand it.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from on that. So I had run our hero over here to potentially steal this because I knew they had left it undefended because some neutral had uncaptured it, right? Mm-hmm. It turns out in the time it took us to get over here, they have built an actual navy. These are badly wounded fire ships, and you can see the name. There's a number on the end that increments every time you change the design. So these 4 fire ships are just base stat fire ships, but they are level 3. And also there's 6 ships in total here, and we would get absolutely destroyed if we attempted to fight them. So what we will be doing is moving away from them very quickly at the start of the next turn. Let's see here. Over here, we're producing citizens and stuff. I think I'm going to go ahead and just start building out boroughs in this spot as well. Yeah, so I mean, it feels like it's this, right? It's built out into all of the beautiful anomalies. And eventually maybe to the coast. It would be cool to get to the coast eventually. Okay. So yeah, you're doing that. I guess I could build an emerald extractor. I don't care. And I don't care a lot, to be clear. But also, an emerald extractor is cheap, and they are a tradable resource. Let's start getting our basic food buildings into the queue here because winter's going to end at some point.
Yeah.
It could be up to 8 turns away. Maybe these food buildings will not be producing ideal yields for a minute, but it's okay. We should build the buildings anyway, so that as soon as summer starts up, all of a sudden we're like firing population. I'm gonna go take a look at. Okay, so it looks like there was a little bit of a shuffle here. These are different heroes. There's an Ululani Rawi still. There's a Skykeeper Dabuo Ofosu, who is a forgotten hero, who has 2 different dust boosting capacities, which is kind of cool. I don't love the Forgotten's faction tree. You can see you get a little bit of extra dust out of forests. Aside from that, it's kind of light on governing stuff. There's a reason for this. The Forgotten are very focused on a different aspect of the game, one that we've not really talked about yet, and one that might actually make hiring her a good idea. You know what?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. We're gonna try something. So, what's so great about this hero if you don't even want to use them to govern anything and you don't have an army for them to lead? Well, here's what's so great. Spying level 4.
Okay.
This game has espionage systems, and you use heroes to spy on enemy cities. Every hero has a different level of spying. Fortunately, it's not super complicated. It's basically just like by faction. Most factions here have spying 2. The Morgar have spying 3, which reflects the fact that they have mind control. And then the Forgotten have spying 4 because they're invisible and like stealth and deceit are their whole deal.
Okay.
The Necrophages have spying 1 because they're big stupid bug people who do nothing but kill and eat.
Love that for them.
So the higher your spying level, the more XP you get per turn while infiltrated, and critically, the more infiltration points you produce per turn. That's a really, really important part of spying. Now, you can only insert a spy into a city that you currently have vision of, but it just so happens we have vision of a couple of cities over here. So, I think we're just going to go ahead and insert a spy into... I'm a little leery of going after the capital.
Okay.
This value right here is the security value, so an abstract representation of the city's ability to deal with espionage. I'm just worried that the capital is the most likely to have like built up buildings, and it's the most likely city to be happy. The approval level of the citizens makes it a lot harder to get away with spying shit.
Okay.
I actually might dump us in. Well, I think like I want to know what's going on with one of these 2 players. To be perfectly honest, I'd rather infiltrate red than pink because I think we can remain friendly with pink. But it might not end up mattering if they like tear each other to pieces in this war, which does look like it's happening. Got more soldiers coming in from the north, and you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do it here.
All right.
So, Dabu Ofosu, good luck. All right. Let's talk about what is spying and how does it work. So, down here we have a representation of infiltration level. This is a very like sort of simple mechanic. It's pretty board gamey, honestly.
Okay.
At the beginning of each turn, an infiltrated spy gains a number of points based on their a number of infiltration points based on their spying level and maybe a couple other factors. There are like pieces of equipment you can learn to build that will give them some advantages in spying. And when they hit certain thresholds of accumulated points, their infiltration level goes up. So we can see we hit our next level at 45.9, which seems like an odd value, but whatever. So we'll accumulate infiltration points for a couple of turns, then we'll be level 2 infiltrated. And you can, at the cost of influence, perform various spying actions that are gated by the infiltration level of your spy. So you can see the number here is the lowest level at which you can perform this task. And the higher your infiltration level, the more effective the task generally will be. So like, for example, the decreased vision action, you have to be at least level 3 infiltrated to undertake it, and it reduces all of their watchtowers to minimum vision for 6 turns. That's important, both because, vision is a big deal in wars, and particularly, watchtowers can see stealthed units. So if you are doing any kind of stealth shenanigans, reducing the enemy's watchtower vision is particularly valuable. If you're level 4 infiltrated, it hits all of their regional buildings, which includes the watchtowers, and also their cities. Only their units have normal vision at that point. And if you do it at level 5, everything they own that can see can only see 1 tile away, which gives you a huge maneuverability advantage in the country. So they all kind of work like that. It's all, it does something at the lowest level, and then that thing harder at each higher level. There's a handful of empire-wide infiltration actions, things that affect the whole empire, and then a handful of city-specific infiltration actions that are generally a little bit easier to pull off. They require less infiltration, but also they immediately, even if the spy gets away with them, they immediately give away the location of the spy because you know which city they occurred in.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that's really clever. This is really slick. I like this a lot.
You don't have a ton of options for dealing with a spy. You can initiate a roundup in a city. The roundup will start ticking your security value up over time for like 5 turns. And during that time, all of the resources generated by your population points are cut in half. You're meddling in everybody's lives. You're creating a lot of interference here. There's a cost. At the end of the 5 turns, your security value has been buffed up. You make a check for the spy in the city, the same kind of check the spy has to make when they perform an operation. And if, there's a chance that they'll be found, and since your security value is pumped up, it's like a pretty good chance that they'll be found. And found spies can be wounded but remain embedded, or they can be chased out, or they can be captured, or, pretty standard stuff for this kind of system in this kind of game.
Yeah, I only have the espionage system that was in Civ 6 to compare it to, and I already like this a lot better.
There's certainly more like texture here, I feel like.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that Civ 6 has the spies, the actions that are available to the spies are limited by the districts in the city that they're spying on. So that there's like some incentive to put them in places where they are more important places where they are more likely to be found out, where it's, it's more likely that you'll have countermeasures of some kind. But I don't that is the case to some degree here too, right? Because those cities are the ones that would be most important to decrease industry production in. Hey, you know what I didn't do was press that run away button right at the beginning of the turn. Holy crow. They really have a lot of ships down here. Okay, well, we're going to run away. That's fine. Commander Lasmak has leveled up. You're just running science in foreigny. All right, well, get better at producing science. Everybody built all the stuff we knew they were going to build. Purple wants a map exchange. It is likely that Purple has seen the parts of the world that we haven't seen. I do think this is pretty to their benefit. Let's see to what degree they agree with that. They think so too. They are very reluctant to trade us any kind of science. Do they have any resources that are interesting? They do. They actually have enough resources to attempt the strategic building. They may or may not have the industry time to go for it, though. They don't really have any interesting luxuries or anything to trade us, and they're not going to want to trade us pearls. This faction especially, they, in addition to using the pearls the way everybody else does for their altar stuff, this faction has other uses for them. This is the Pearl faction. So we're going to leave their pearls alone. They don't really even have any dust to trade us. You know what? I'm just going to give them... Yeah, sure. I'm just going to give them the slightly superior deal. They'll remember that. Trusting. We made a contract to their advantage, and they were already like indifferent to us. So, making friends with our only landbound neighbor, I think, is reasonable. Okay, so there's a lot of open ocean down here, actually. Also worth noting, we don't have real vision over here, so we don't get to see detail, but we would get to see if this region was owned, it would be colored. So I'm assuming that an ocean that large does have fortresses in it. It probably has fortresses in it. It's interesting that it's not owned by anybody yet. I wonder if Purple and Pink have been fighting over it. Purple's really... I was going to say Purple's really small for this point in the game. I guess they have the same number of cities we do. But, you know, like, we have other stuff going on. All right. Retreat. Run away. I forgot to hit the runaway button at the beginning of the turn. I'm going to get out of the water at the beginning of next turn. Please don't let me forget, because that we'll lose that unit.
Okay, I'm going to try to remember.
All right, we're going for that ruin. And what are you going to do? I mean, you're going to grab these pearls that are in our territory. I mean, I guess the only thing for you to do, really, is get back to the water. Okay, y'all are going to exchange words with this fortress. I'm not expecting to get anything out of it here, but they would give us control for 16 titanium. We have so much titanium, that's like no cost at all. And the thing is, Pink literally can't attack us because of our peace right now. So if we take this, we're just preventing them from locking down control of the region. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. We're quote unquote friends.
Friends.
So we locked up another Palladian facility there. Were you doing a G-Man impression there?
What is G-Man?
Okay, never mind. We also picked up an industry stockpile facility. So it is every so often going to give us an industry stockpile, and when we get the first one of those, we'll talk about what that means.
Okay.
All right. We are continuing to build stuff. Now that we are building this settler, I want to kick everybody off of food and back onto industry because we're not producing food anyway. And we're going to get to the Alchemic Institute pretty quickly here. And it would only take 5 turns to build it. That's crazy. We don't quite have the population to build another borough, and we're removing a point of population right now to build the settler, so it's going to be a second before we can put down that last borough that completes that. We're taking Raelian, right?
Sure.
I think it was Harael and Raelian that we were interested in. So that's going to be this guy's job.
Okay.
And the way to do that is apparently going to be to stay on land the whole way.
Huh.
Well, I'll trust the calculator there. I mean, it's not exactly on land the whole way, right? He's running north to the river and then taking the river through part of it. And then there's another river over here. For the moment, I am not doing anything with our kaiju except just having him sit here and generate dust for everybody, and I hope that that's not a bummer. I took him for economic reasons. He is our entire army. He is the only thing that is making anybody think twice about attacking us, and that matters.
Yeah. Push the thing.
Yep,
Okay.
I got it. But thank you for reminding me. I do appreciate that. I am a little spacey every once in a while. Okay. Winter has ended, and we are in good shape here economically. We are generating what I would describe as a silly amount of money per turn. New quest added, a helpless hero. The ruins of Auriga are perilous places, even for those who wield exceptional powers. A courier has arrived with a message from a distant land, reporting that a mysterious figure has been trapped in some sort of disaster at one of the Endless's ruins. Furthermore, the being in question appears to be one of the dust-wielding heroes, given that they had been moving large masses of rock in an attempt to work their way out. Fascinating. I would love a free hero. Reach the ruin marked on your map. There's a landmass down there. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, we're gonna go see about assisting that poor person. That is for sure on the docket. We're also going to search all the ruins in the Ocean Wervelin and its neighbor Yarrow. We did it! 20 adamantium. That's not the one we needed more of. Oh my god, we picked up so many quests this turn. Threading through the fallen masonry. This is from our hero searching that ruin. Threading through the fallen masonry, at the entrance to the ruins, you come across a surprising sight. Dozens of eyeless ones have turned the site into a makeshift church, their distinctive twisting circular iconography adorning many surfaces, while many of the monks lay prostrate in worship. They agree to leave the site if you provide a temple for them elsewhere, and they'll bring some glass steel with them. So build a city improvement that increases influence. We could do that. The Eyeless Ones are one of the minor factions. I think we've encountered them before. That's a thing. I'm not going to worry about that. It'll happen eventually. We also found something else in some ruins here. Entering the Shadowed Ruins, you find several figures huddling under a half-fallen pillar. Moving closer, you learn that they are a Nidya family, old and young, 6 in number. One of their young males is ill, and the elders mutter of the magic grounds that may save him from death. The first step is to heal the Nidya naturally using the magics evolving on Auriga. Build over a total of 8 anomalies in your empire, and for that we will receive the Dust Alchemy technology. These people have some knowledge. My guess is that's going to be no problem. We are currently, we're building burrows out to expand the number of anomalies we're grabbing. We're putting down new cities in anomaly-rich territory. We're definitely going to be at 8 soon enough. We don't even have to think about it. We're already on that road.
Okay.
So, finally, new faction quest. Morgar, rest and think. Air, food, water, shelter, these exist, but still too few Morgar. Too many others. Was hunted once, will be hunted again. Must happen, because history is a circle. But maybe circles, like chains, can be broken, even shattered. No peace, no security, until Auriga is one people under one mind. Morgar mind is a strong mind, but scarred by ages of confinement. Must be tested, developed, honed. Morgar must learn to control the things that live on land as well as those that live in the sea. Must apply the single mind of Morgar to the weak, scattered consciousness of the land people. Okay, so we're supposed to use our mind control to depacify some pacified villages here. And we'll get a higher level luxury resource here. Pixie blood. You know, what you get when you juice a bunch of pixies. That's a weird one. It gives extra health regen to your cities specifically. Not super useful. It's kind of the late game equivalent of the emeralds. In the situations where it is useful, it's very good. Being able to get a city's health back up between waves of attacks can be the difference between winning and losing the game. But it's a very narrow usage. Okay, so I should talk about this real quick before I forget. Now that we have a spy insinuated in Yarrow, we can see the city screen of the city. So we can see exactly what they're running, exactly what their population and their numbers look like, what they're building, what they can build. A full list of all of the buildings in the city. And we will retain vision of this city even after our unit moves away, which, be helpful for keeping an eye on what's going on over here. All right, so second winter has ended. Upcoming winter, the cost of praying goes up as the summer goes on and the winter comes closer. If we were going to contribute prayers to try to nudge the winter in one direction or another, this is the cheapest time to do so. So the next winter effect could be -10 approval on anomalies that provide approval. So basically just canceling out the approval boost from those things, but +3 dust on anomalies that provide dust. This is a very small pain for us. It's not a big deal for anybody, I think. -1 battle movement on flying units and +1 battle movement on units from cavalry. It's presumably a typo. But, you know, it makes a certain kind of sense, though. Canadians got to be good in the winter, right? Or a boost in the price of luxury resources in the market and a reduction in the cost of strategic resources. I don't know that any of this affects us directly very much. There's another one where it's not super likely to matter. The place where it's most likely to affect us is we have a lot of the other players here have good cavalry units. And so this could be good for wintertime attacks for the other players. So I suppose that's potentially a reason to not to like try to pull, prey away from this. But honestly, I think maybe we'll just save our pearls for the good pearl buildings, which actually there are a couple of now in this tier. Let's talk about the pearl buildings and what's available here. So we can unlock these blessings, which are effectively technologies, by paying some pearls. Some of them are just passive effects, like this one allows you to create stockpiles with your pearls. This one allows you to make like armor or accessories of pearl. But some of them will give you access to more buildings. The ones that give access to more buildings give you access to buildings that also cost pearls. So if you're going to pick one of those things up, that's a good reason to maybe be a little cautious with how much you're spending on prayer, because you might end up needing a lot of pearls for the construction of your extra stuff. I think there is definitely something to be said for the iceworks in one of our cities. The question is, if we're only going to build it in one place, is it worth spending 25 pearls on that one building? It gives +10 industry on each river tile during the winter. That city has, 3 river tiles now? And it would not be very difficult for that number to jump up to like 7. So that's a lot of industry, but it is also a lot of pearls. 25 pearls is more than half of our whole collection here. There's also this, which I think we're definitely going to pick up. The Chapel of Ariga, which gives us 1 extra population point in the city that you build it in for each pacified village in that city's region. So this is just a building that gives you 1 to 3 extra population.
Okay.
I think that's a get it for sure. We have a couple of regions where we have 3 pacified villages that are really going to love that. For example, Manure. This is going to be really, really good here, where we have the 3 Saratan villages. Up in Dells, we also have a couple of villages. It's probably worth building here as well. And it's not a terribly expensive building beyond the pearl cost even. Forany only has one pacified village, and I don't know that I do want to build it here, because not even because of wasting Foreny's time, but because I want to be, cautious with our pearl supply. What we can definitely do is start building out districts to expand to level up our cargo docks here. We're going to need a little bit more population, I believe, to finish off the level up. Yeah, we can focus on population generation for a little bit here. We're still producing enough industry that the buildings are getting done fairly quickly. All right, dust-wise, we're saving up for another hero or 2, because we're going to have 2 more governor slots in a second year. I am going to snake these pearls. Remember, this unit is stealthed. Hopefully Pink won't realize that we did that. Yeah, fascinatingly enough, all 3 of the fortresses in Kentum seem to be neutral.
Okay.
Oh. Note that none of Purple's cities are coastal, so they can't build boats. They can put units on boats. They can do the transport ship thing, but transport ships are the only ships they could have. pink does have a coastal city on this side of the continent, but I guess they've just not. That's weird, but we might be able to take advantage of that. Their slowness might be to our benefit. All right, what are you gonna do? I don't know. Just get down. You get in the water. We'll figure it out. You are gonna try to make it over to that landmass down there. We're gonna move this guy manually at the start of the turn. That's how we're. Because the weather shifts slowly, but I don't know if it shifts every turn. Or sometimes it seems like it hangs for a turn or two. So I don't know where this seaweed patch is going to be next turn, and I want to make sure I'm pathing around it rather than through it. So we're just going to handle that manually after the weather updates.
Okay.
All right, we got our reduction in expansion disapproval. That's just disapproval from, the one factor of us building outward in our cities and empire, but we're about to do a bunch more of that, so I think it's going to end up being valuable. And we were talking about potentially pushing for a science victory. It seems like we're well set up for it. We have a lot of high science terrain. In case our win the game via faction quest plan doesn't work out. So it might be a good idea to pick up statistical methods here, which is particularly a valuable building in cities that have a lot of districts constructed, which, describes our empire very well.
Yeah.
If you're building an empire that doesn't have a lot of width, you have to approach your science a little bit differently sometimes. And it's certainly not the end of the world, but this is convenient. And then we are going to move our faction quest along. So we're just going to harass these people over here. What does it cost to fuck up? Wow, that's 198 influence. Holy crow. Okay, well, I do want to keep our influence, our faction quest moving along. It is much cheaper to fire dissent in villages that are not owned by a player, it turns out. This one's also 198. The value depends on the current era and the size of your empire. So yeah, it's going to be the same in all.
Okay.
It's 8 turns until we have an empire plan to place. And we're going to spend our entire supply of influence doing this. I'm a little worried about that, honestly. We might end up just eating a kind of a crummy empire plan. But I do want to keep our faction quest moving. So let's... We didn't actually end up pacifying any of the stuff over here. It would be easy enough for you to get over here and donate 8 dye. We definitely have dye income. Also, we should fire our food booster. It's food time. And I guess oh well, there's no reason not to be running a dye booster if I'm worried about our influence income. And then we have Moonleaf coming in slowly from one of our fortresses as well. This is just a big increase to our science output. Run all of that stuff. We are so far above fervent approval that honestly I probably didn't need to research the bread and circuses, but whatever, I did it. So I think we're going to save a little bit of influence here by having this guy run down here and convert this village so that I can deconvert it.
Okay.
We're going to go ahead and do a descent here. So we made the city hostile, and we've instantly spawned an army of annoying enemies out of it. And then the question is, we're going to get this one, trivially. Unfortunately, this is only one... this is a one-village region. So when we flip this, it's only going to flip one village. I don't want to mess with villages anywhere else, really. I don't want to mess with the villages in Haril, because we're about to settle in Haril in like a couple turns. Maybe I do just flip one of these. Yeah, I guess.
Do it.
We're making chaos to prove to ourselves more than anyone that we are capable of being the controlling mind. I really like the way that the story of the Morgar, the story of this like crazy villainous force is one that is almost entirely about their fear.
Yeah, I think that's really smart and a really thoughtful approach.
All right, let's navigate this after the weather moves here. Okay, yep. So we can just come straight through. These are mine. Oh, who's that? No, leave me alone. Are you out of movement? You are, okay. I mean, we'll have a chat with these people. When they see the marvelous design of your bathyspheres, the inhabitants of this fortress become quite agitated. They live on the tip of a vast underwater structure, and it has been centuries since they had the technology to examine and repair it. However, with the aid of your bathyspheres, they feel they could carry out a proper inspection. You can't have my bathysphere. Especially since I do not suspect that I would be able to get ownership of this ocean. But that's, interesting to see. So, look at how far apart the fortresses are in this ocean. What a pain in the ass this would be to maintain if you ever went to war with anyone. All right, that settler gets to move. You, I think, are just going to get in the ocean and get on pearl gathering duty. There's a lot of pearls that we can see that presumably nobody else knows about. That somebody's got to actually pick up if we want to make any use of them. Do we want to stop off and search this ruin? What is this quest beyond the edge of maps? True unaided exploration. Just go find some things. Fuck it. I guess let's go do it. I kind of want to talk to these fortresses down here. This is a little out of the way, but whatever. Not a bad reward. Dust and glory. But perhaps the treasure was in the voyage, in the risk, in the eyes of your once doubting crew who now eagerly turn for home. That's not happening. They're never coming back to shore. Regardless, there is no doubt that your voyage shall be the thing of tales and ballads. Listen, I'm not upset about 40 influence at this point. And that was the quest search, so we get to perform an actual ruin search here as well, and gain the design for the artillery ship. Okay, so in the sort of like rock, paper, scissors of the ocean combat in this game, the artillery ship is the ranged unit, as you might expect. It has 4 range, making it one of the longest ranged things in the entire game. And if you are willing to modify the weapons to make them a little bit... these things have utility. I don't want to say too much more because as soon as I started talking, I was like, well, hold on a second. Do I remember what am I sure that I'm about to say a thing that's actually true? The answer is no. So we'll have a look at them in a second. Hey, what's up? Fucking lice in my way? Obviously, we don't really want our settler going to war. This is pretty not great. Yeah, these lice are a challenge. All right, where exactly are we trying to settle over here? This whole region has no food because it's a volcanic region. Obviously, we'll have to provide our own food. If we settle like nestled in the corner of these three anomalies, we can build to the coast very easily, and then we have a coastal position here where we can level up the docks. So I think that's the plan. The question is, how are we going to get there without getting eaten? Okay, you're out of movement for this turn. I could get us as far as here. Alright, this is going to work, but we're going to have to be just a little aggressive about it is all. So I'm going to give them the colonization order here. And we're just going to, again, mash the button at the beginning of next turn. And we need to maybe actually get some land units over here. Amabel, it might be time to have some land units.
Okay, yeah, because this is something I find really interesting. When we started this playthrough, you mentioned how like we don't really have land units; they suck. We're gonna need to like assimilate uh, villages with different to get our combat troops, and then we haven't had to actually do that.
Yeah,
And
we've
it's
had
like a really different shape to the game, and
we've had a sort of an unusual situation here where it wasn't necessary for us to have units at all for a while. I mean, we needed a navy,
yeah,
but we also happened across a free navy, more or less.
and I like that the game has that kind of variability even within a faction. You know?
All right, so we have a couple of move quick to not die orders that we've issued here.
Okay.
Let's make sure those occur. I believe next turn we should have enough Palladian to begin the construction of the third legendary building in Manure if we want to. All right, Raelian is now ours. It will be easy enough to build a couple of buildings here. We're gonna leave obviously the only person who's here on food production for the moment, and we're going to produce a lot of extra food structures. We could dump some dust into the city and just buy this stuff out. It's gonna build pretty quickly either way, and we do also need to hire. We do also need to hire other heroes for governing, so I'm a little reluctant to spend the dust at the moment. All right, I'm going to just let me move away slightly. It's a shame I can't get back to safety. All right, we're gonna unconvert this village, which has basically no effect on anyone, but it does finish our faction quest. Oh, it didn't produce an army. Weird. Maybe it only produces an army if it's in another player's region? No, this village produced... I don't know why that didn't... Well, whatever. Better for us that it didn't. Alright, some Broken Lord's troops have decided to stop the threat that your expansion represents. Defeat this army coming for you from Errol. Okay. So, yeah, we're gonna need some troops. Like yesterday, apparently.
Oh.
All right, we have enraged an army represented by the quest of the game. That's fine. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get that figured out. So Manure, I was gonna say let's get ready to build some cool building, but perhaps let's get ready to build some cool military unit, shall we?
Yes.
So right now we just have the one assimilation slot. We have the Harmonite available. I mean, Harmonites are pretty good units. They're definitely on the expensive side, as I remember it, but they're powerful.
All right. Now, how do you get more simulation slots again?
There are technologies for it.
Okay.
We can research the ability to give the imperial decree that makes it makes a small section of the city. Listen, you can read the text. It's all, fiddlesticks for the mechanics, which is one more minor assimilation slot. And then in Era 4, there's another technology that does the same thing.
Okay.
So, at this point in the game, we probably do not want to be building base level units. We haven't researched anything that gives us access to strategic, military gear made out of strategic resources, which is a shame because that stuff has way better stats. What we do have is better iron. So basically the idea is every time you enter a new era, the base level of your military equipment goes up a little bit, just to represent,
Okay.
some technological advancement, even if you're not devoting a lot of extra science to it. So we now have tier 3 iron gear. So comparing that to like the tier 2, these are tier 1 claws, the most basic thing. 12 attack and 10 damage. The tier 3s are 24 attack and 26 damage, and the capacity they give is a little bit stronger. You know, it's not a huge difference, but it is a difference. You have two options for weapons with these guys. You can go Great Big Club, real big hammer, which gives them the stun capacity, a 40% chance to stun the target for 2 rounds when attacking. But note that says when attacking. Harmonite are very, very slow units.
Yeah.
And you should not expect necessarily that they will get to lead in combat. If you have some fast-moving units of your own that can immobilize and lock up the enemy's front line, like you have some skirmish cavalry or whatever, then you can have them hold the enemies in place while the Harmonite come up to act as the hammer, and that maybe, becomes a viable strategy. We have no such thing. So I think I'm going to prefer the claws, because the capacity the claws give improves your counterattack rather than your attack.
Okay.
And then just like some basic armor. Let's just like get some stats. So, okay, it's not that much of an improvement, but it's an improvement. We could also tack on improved move speed or improved vision and also sharp sense, which gives a little bit of defense against ranged attacks. This is one of the things that you get from a shield. So usually this supplemental piece of equipment is not very useful for units that can equip shields, because if you want a shield, you're better off just building a shield. But for these guys who don't even have the choice, it can be an interesting option if we're talking about fighting Broken Lords, especially in a largely defensive capacity. I don't know that we necessarily need any
sharp sense.
Accessories at all.
Okay.
But there we go. So how long does it take this city to produce one of those improved Harmonite troops? They are 402 industry, so a little under 2 turns.
Oh, that's not bad.
All right, let's pump out a few. It'll be good for us to have some kind of standing force. All right, we did, in fact, make it to the landmass. The ruin that we need to search for that quest is overgrown with fungus. As you can see here, spores floating off of it and whatnot. So we'd have to burn that down before we can interact with it. That's a thing worth considering. Maybe we'll bother. We're certainly going to explore down here, at least. Dabu Ofosu has got infiltration level 2. We're going to let that keep climbing. Sorry, there's one important thing I forgot to mention.
Sure.
Seniority. Every time you perform a spying action in a city, you gain an amount of seniority equal to the level you were when you performed the action. What seniority does is it's just a flat bonus to the amount of infiltration points that you produce each turn, but it is reset if you leave the city. So if a spy can manage to stay dug in one city and work for a while, they can get very, very good at re-leveling after performing tasks. And
okay.
So there's some benefit to like having a spy where you just never use any city actions and you just try to keep them well hidden and screwing with the enemy in other ways. We'll see. I don't have any particular plans for that spy yet. I don't know what it is we're going to do with them in that city. We just have them in that city.
Now, you have visibility to the city screen, so...
Yep, and for like a couple tiles around the city. As you can see, our line of sight is somewhat interrupted by this big fucking cliff over here, unfortunately.
So if that city does the thing where they step up their security, you would get notification that they're doing that?
I will not receive a notification, but I will be able to see the security value climbing up.
Okay.
I believe I don't get a notification. So yeah, that's a thing that we are going to have to be a little bit aware of. Right now, there's no reason that they would do that. However, it can happen sometimes where you have a spy and you're not doing anything wrong or bothering anybody, and suddenly you get caught up in a sweep because somebody else's spy was incompetent and triggered a security alert. So it is a thing you do have to look out for. New quest added, a little spine. A great sea snake lurks in this ruin, collecting treasures and trophies from lesser victims. It appears to be unique and ancient, most likely the result of some strange magical or scientific accident. It's clearly belligerent, but it is also smart, and does not wish to start a war with an entire empire. The serpent will leave you in peace and even send you on your way with treasure, but first you must prove that you are not a weakling that will lose its gift. So it'll give us some fame and also 30 whole emeralds. Woo! If we prove that we're strong by going to war for no reason, which is what that would do. Obviously, we are not going to bother with this. I don't want that reward, and I don't want to do the thing that earns the reward. All right, for any, we need to gain 1 more point of population before we can build the district that will finish off the leveling here. So we're going to leave everybody on food. Oh, no, we don't. Sorry, I'm looking at... This is not grayed out. We can build this district. It's that we couldn't build another one until we get more population. So this district will level up our dock. It'll get us a couple more sea tiles. That'll be good for Forany. We're producing military units. Hopefully the attack from Errol is headed toward Manure. Obviously, when they show up, we can run our Urkin at them if it becomes a problem. But I would prefer not to have to uproot the Urkin to deal with every little threat, because the Urkin is producing us a lot of dust every turn. It's giving us a 20% dust boost to all 4 of our cities on this continent. That's hard to want to just give up. Speaking of dust, got a new city. Do I want to just bounce our existing Ululani Rawi over to this city? Because remember, Ululani does have this, both of the skills that we currently have are bonuses for being on volcanic terrain. And we're going to get a percentage science boost, which will be good in this city, but it'll also be good in that other city that's built on top of all of those science anomalies. So we might be buying a hero for the new city, or we might be buying a hero for the old city and moving Ululani to the new city. One thing that is worth considering. We have here a cultist hero with influence boost 2. So this is potentially a lot of influence.
Yeah.
And cultists do a very good job of buffing up cities that have significant populations because they improve the output per citizen. And this city could be, like, now that we have all of this infrastructure built in, like, I think it makes a lot of sense for that city to become just sort of like the actual capital, the functional capital of our empire.
Okay.
So maybe we want to... I'm going to hire this Andom. We're going to swap Andom into control of this city. This will help a little bit with our influence problem as well, which is nice. And Ululani can take over here. And immediately provide some benefit. And then we're going to want to keep stockpiling dust until we have a governor for the other city, and then we can start, potentially spending it to buy stuff out and whatever. All right, you want to get back inside the border. I mean, you may as well grab the thing here. At the beginning of the turn, immediately. And I don't think we have anything else that we need to do, like, right away. You have a location to get to. Yeah. We're not in a big hurry anywhere else at the moment. So we're going to start this turn here and then not really do anything just yet. I think this is an okay place to end the episode. It's maybe a little bit less climactic than some of the others have been, but gotta actually remember to execute the do this thing immediately actions.
I mean, that's all right, sweetheart. Sometimes you take an hour and you don't always get to the climax.
Anyway, what we did do is build over a total of 8 anomalies in our empire. So hooray, dust alchemy. The dust transmuter is a building that gives plus 10 dust on every tile that has any dust income naturally. Very powerful in certain places. We can only build 1 in the empire, but it will probably produce as much money as a couple of other cities combined if we build it right. So that's good. Dust is also required to heal the young sick Nidya. Produce 110 dust per turn in one of your cities, for 5 turns. That's another one of those things where it'll happen eventually, probably. Notice I was talking about, look, we have all these bonuses. We're so far beyond fervent, but without the wine, we in fact are not over the threshold. So the wine must continue. We're going to put down this city here so that I don't forget to do this, and then we can handle the rest of the decisions for this turn next time. Look at that.
That's really biting commentary on, like, the culture of alcohol. That we need wine to be happy.
So we're going to build a couple of basic things here. The Chapel of Auriga is definitely going in very early here, since we do have 3 villages. And that is already our whole supply of pearls gone. We didn't even build them in every city. They go fast. It's hard to keep them in stock. We got a little group of cultists over here, some preachers. Don't know what they're up to, but I don't like any part of that. And we don't quite see the army from Errol just yet. It may take them a while to get here, depending on where they spawned, because this is a very heavily forested region. All right. I think that's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I feel like we're really getting our legs under us here.
Yeah.
As soon as we finish building these Harmonites in Manure, we're going to build that legendary building. Building it is going to level up the megapole, and that's going to let us build another district very quickly, and that's going to level up the science building. And yeah, we're going to be a real powerhouse. Manure is going to be a real powerhouse, and the rest of our empire is just going to be kind of hanging off the side, trying to help. But I'm excited about this position, and I'm excited to see what happens when one of the AI players realizes that we're doing very well, because that could get a little rough. So, thank you all so much for watching. Come back next time for maybe that. Honestly, it might be time. And we'll see you then.
Bye.